It's also really weird that like, it seems like there's a side to him that has a ton of like self-doubt. Then there seems like there's another side that is so powerful that it's like, fuck that. I won't succumb to that. Cause how did I saw him in an interview where he said he knew he would become champ before he would die. Like he thought his life was going to be weird and he thought he would die or end up in prison when he was young. And then as he became a boxer and he recognized his skill and recognized who his coach was and stuff like that, he was like, oh, I could actually like, this could happen, And then he kind of recognized like, I might still die. I might still have a weird life or something like that, but, or might die young rather. But he just like knew in his heart. And I think it must've been Customato, who was his mentor, who just must've filled him up with so much confidence. Cause he told him like right away that he was going to be champion of the world. And he was like what, like, what is this guy talking about?
Yeah.
Did you imagine that? Someone like kind of picking you out and being like, yo, like, I don't know if you know this, but you're going to be the best in the world at this and arguably one of the all time greats,
especially with his background. But I feel like that's probably what's allowed him to go out of boxing for as long as he has and then flip this switch and be like, yeah, I'm gonna get back into shape and get back into the ring. He's like, you remember that quote that he said? He's like, the gods of war have, reawakened my fire. And I'm like, he just turned it back on, got in amazing shape. And honestly, when you see him in the ring again, the way he was moving and he purposely wasn't hitting Jones' head, but like all his shots, the way he was ducking all these shots, you could tell that he was the one, he won that fight.
Oh yeah.
He won that fight. And
I don't understand. I just don't have it. I mean, I guess they're like, it's an exhibition. So whatever.
I think what happened was that like, cause you saw when they were in the ring announcing it, they panned somewhere else and then they came back and they were in that little hallway and they're like, it's a draw. I feel like Tyson was like, okay, just give this a draw, because even the last judge gave Jones 6 of the rounds, even though the first 2 judges were like overwhelmingly Tyson.
Right.
So it's like, you could tell he was holding back. He was giving it to the body, but he never touched Jones' head.
Yeah.
Yeah. I just think if they're going to make it an exhibition and
look at the fucking,
dude, let me just ask this question. Okay. I used to box, but, I don't have like any sort of like math degree or anything like that. So I never understood in boxing, why are the rounds even? Why are they 10 rounds? Why is it 12 rounds? Why isn't it 13 rounds? And in this case, why wasn't it 7 or why wasn't it 9 rounds? You could still end up with a tie because of the way that they score.
Yeah.
But it would be highly unlikely. It would be way more, in this case, it's like, 4 rounds went to Jones, 4 rounds went to Tyson. Oh, it looks like we have a tie.
I've never thought of that.
It's completely absurd. It's completely absurd. And how many fights, they end up in a draw and you're just like, man, I watched this whole thing. It fucking sucks.
I always wish that they could have done it like, not sudden death, but just like, hey, if it's in a draw, you guys are going one more round.
Yeah.
Yeah. Imagine if they went one more round. It was like 10 minutes. Like the round just went on, like
they just kept going till.
Yeah, you're literally in sudden death.
Yeah, isn't that how it used to be? Like back in the day, like they just keep fighting till someone gets knocked out.
Really? Yeah,
I think so.
They would fight for a really long time. Then then they recognized they needed a rest. But a lot of Tyson's fights looked the way that fight did. I think people forget that. People forget that I'm a huge Tyson fan, and I've seen every single fight that he's ever done. I'm a massive fan. I even trained at the same place that he trained at and learned how to box from some of those people and stuff like that. But a lot of his fights, people were tying up his arms. And when he got towards the end of his career, I don't know if he ever learned jujitsu or learned certain holds and stuff, but then they would accuse him of bending people's elbows and doing weird stuff and getting people into locks and stuff because they would hold his arms so much. And he's like, that's what's going to happen if you hold my arms. Oh, shit. And so he's got to, but a lot of his fights were that way.
And one thing that continued to frustrate me, because I was watching the fight, I'm like, okay, he's gonna do something. He's gonna do something, because he kept hitting the body. But every time he got clenched up, how Tyson would usually hit the body, and once they come out, boom. I saw him almost, and then he backed off. It's
like they had agreement ahead of time, kind of thing.
I feel like Tyson's like, I'm not going to hit your face, because like you watch so many of his fights that that is a. Oh
yeah. He does it every time. Yeah, he does a shot to the. Well, he's a counterpuncher first of all, so that's what made the fight fucked up. Is that Jones was dying, and that didn't help. You need someone that throws punches. He was so tired. That was really disappointing. That was really disappointing. They should, when someone does shit like that, they should pull your paycheck. They should pull, or not the whole thing, but they should pull a percentage of it. But yeah, Tyson, he would throw like a right hook to the body, and then he would come up top, and you just really didn't see that many people do that. But the way that he fought, he got so much leverage and power into that thing where it's just disgusting. You're like, oh my God.
His whole body's behind.
Yeah. And part of the reason why he would do that, though, is it's weird. Tyson's punches almost look like a karate punch, like a straight up old school karate punch, where it's really clear that you throw the punch one way and you return it back the other way. His stuff, when he would throw his hooks, he would get so much body weight into them that he would reload and recoil the exact same way the next time, and he would just annihilate people.
It's also crazy though. Like, again, this is the caliber athlete he is, because he was the older fighter here too.
Yeah.
But you saw like every round, you saw him sitting in the corner. He was just chilling. He didn't look tired, and Jones was in the other corner like. Like he looked dead.
It was really extremely rare for Tyson to ever be tired in a fight. He was extremely well conditioned, and I just think that this, like, I don't even know if people understand how motivational this is.
Yeah,
he mentioned like, I'm kind of more of a humanitarian now, and I think this gets people excited. First of all, he looked great, which is hard to do because he just lost 100 pounds. And his conditioning for this was insane. Anyone that's ever hit a heavy bag for more than 30 seconds can only imagine how hard it would be to go this long. But think about his life, his career. I mean, he fought fucking like Larry Holmes, like 25 years ago, and he beat Trevor Berbick to win the title, 30 years ago or however long ago that was. It's just, it's amazing what he did. And I actually think that he could, it'd be cool to see him, if he pushes this a little bit more, what he's capable of doing. I think he could have a much better showing against an opponent that's not so tired. But him being a counterpuncher, like, he would usually move out of the way of something, and then he would, smash somebody. But in this case, Roy Jones wasn't really throwing anything.
Yeah.
Yeah. And that's what I'm really happy to see about the whole thing. No disrespect to, obviously, no one's going to disrespect Chuck Liddell and Tito Ortiz because you'd be an idiot. But like watching them fight recently, it was like, all right, that, like, I watched it. It was cool seeing them fight again, but I don't want to see that again. Watching Tyson, the way he was moving, the way he was throwing, like, I want to see him go up against somebody who's not going to run out of gas, somebody who is going to throw some of those punches for him to counter. So that would be fun.
Yeah.
Because the whole time you're just like, kind of like, oh, is he gonna like tee off? Is he gonna really do it? And it's like,
how about Jake Paul? Is that his name? I got the right name?
Yeah.
He was a monster,
dude.
He did great.
I didn't know what to expect.
Nate Robinson.
Nate Robinson was feeling froggy, but
Nate Robinson was like, let me go out and just go eat some punches. That's what Nate Robinson said. I mean, no disrespect, because like, it takes courage to go into the ring, but real talk, he was just like, I want to eat some punches today.
Man, I know, he got clobbered.
Snoop was like, they didn't teach, or was it Snoop? It was like, they didn't teach him anything about defense.
Yeah, it was Snoop.
Snoop was great. I thought he saved that actually the whole night,
was a good call, because like, he did look like he knew how to box, kind of like he looked professional. He looked great,
quick.
He just couldn't get out of the way a lot of those shots, and I just think he was maybe just thinking about landing more so than getting hit, and he got clipped. He got clipped a couple times with some good shots.
That overhand right.
Yeah. Well, Jake Paul, he seems for real, and he was talking about fighting Conor McGregor and beating him and everything. It's like, holy shit.
Anything can happen. But yeah, he looked good. He looked like, for his second fight.
Yeah.
Like, how many people would freak out if they seen just somebody coming at them the way Nate Robinson was? Like, he was pouncing on him. He's like, oh shit. And he just stuck and moved.
He's been at it for a minute.
Yeah.
He also used to be a wrestler, so he's in shape. But I mean, the Tyson part was like, it's really cool. I think a lot of like older individuals are gonna, I don't want to say older. If you're 40 plus, you're not old. You're just advanced. But that's going to be motivating for a lot of people because he lost heck of weight. He came back and he's at it. So there's no reason that you can't.
Yeah.
I like the shift too, like, because he was on Rogan and Rogan is asking him, like, do you even work out at all anymore? He's like, nah. And he's like, you don't work out at all. And he explained why. He's like, well, he's like, if I, work out, he's like, I work out like a lunatic. And so then when he was on Rogan again more recently, he was like, what happened? And he's like, well, here's what happened. Someone told me to go on a treadmill. He's like, so I went on there for 10 minutes. He's like, next day I was on there for 15 minutes. He's like, 3 days later, I'm on there for 4 hours straight.
Shit.
And like Rogan, like totally doesn't understand. He's so puzzled. He's like, what do you mean you're on there for 4 hours straight? He's like, I was on there for 4 hours straight. He's just, he's like all or nothing times 1,000, I guess.
Yeah.